Hey, Paul. We good? All right, thanks everybody for being here today. I want to get started. As mayor of Philadelphia, one of my biggest tasks is to promote economic growth for our city. Recently, there's been a lot of talk about how Philadelphia is viewed as being anti-business. I've heard those comments, and our administration, led by our Commerce Department, is working to address them. We are committed to making it easier to do business in Philadelphia. In our first budget, we allowed for the lowering of wage taxes and reforming business income receipts tax, again, as been done since, I guess, 1997, 98, with the exception of the recession, which was, the tax cuts were frozen. As a result, Pew recently found that Philadelphia and the suburbs now have the narrowest tax burden gap in 15 years. Let me say it again. As a result, Pew recently found that Philadelphia and its suburbs now have the narrowest tax burden gap in 15 years. But I know there is still a lot of work to do. Commerce is ramping up its efforts to address tax policy moving forward, launching a tax policy committee to tackle these very issues. Additionally, we will not be seeking any new taxes in this upcoming budget. With regards to regulations and other policies that impact business, the Department of Commerce is meeting with members of council this quarter, and they have developed a more coordinated process to reach out to all the chambers and business organizations about upcoming legislation. Commerce is also leading the way with a number of programs aimed to help business of all sizes. The Capital Consortium is increasing access to capital for small business, and we know that one of the major hurdles that small business has is to be able to access capital and to make payroll and to do some of the things that they need to do, and we're there to provide some technical assistance and some real help in doing that. And the recent expansion of the city's KIZs in helping startup and tech communities. So our expansion of the KIZ program east on Market Street all the way into Old City has done a great job in getting more companies involved in that process. And our very important neighborhood storefront improvement program is continuing to revitalize commercial corridors. We're here today to announce the launch of Commerce's latest program called Gateway Philly, which will reimburse companies from the suburbs or other places outside of the city for setting up satellite offices in the city. This program will serve as a gateway to talent, innovation, and collaboration. And we need to take advantage of the fact that many young people entering the business world today do not necessarily want to live in Malvern or any parts of the suburbs. They want to be downtown. They want to be in a vital area. They want to live downtown, and they want to walk to work or drive their bike or get on the sub or the bus to go to work. So we have some natural advantages that the suburbs does not have. Gateway Philly will allow companies to experience the many benefits of having a city location without having to make a traditional long-term commitment. It's basically kind of the test drive of our city so that they come in, establish a business, small portion, 20, 30, 40, 100 jobs, and see how it goes. And I'm sure it'll go very well, and hopefully they'll decide to move more folks in here. Now, I'll turn this over to Dwayne Bum, who's our Senior Deputy Commerce Director for Business Development, to share some of the specifics about Gateway Philly. Before I do, I just want to say part of the difficulty in a city like Philadelphia is the fact that we have a 26% poverty rate, 25% poverty rate. So we have to pay for certain things and cover costs that, for example, a city like Pittsburgh does not have to cover. Courts, DHS, prisons. So we are a county and a city. So while we continue to reduce taxes, we cannot reduce taxes to the point where our citizens suffer with the many needs that they have for services. So it's a very difficult balance. I think we're achieving that balance. We're living within our means. Our 5-year plan will be solid. We're continuing to reduce taxes. We're narrowing the gap between Philadelphia and the suburbs. We have lots to offer. If you see what's going on in East Market Street and University City and Schuylkill Yards and the Navy Yard, I mean, there's so many opportunities for excitement in the business community, and we want to make sure that we continue to coordinate and communicate with our main chamber and all the other important chambers throughout the city to make sure that they understand we're on their side. So with that, I'd ask Dwayne to come up and give a little more detail. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Kenny. The Department of Commerce is excited to announce Gateway Philadelphia, a new program to build on the momentum of Vanguard's recent decision to add a satellite office at 23rd and Chestnut Streets. As we were working with Vanguard, and I see John Grady out in the audience from PIDC, and we all were working collectively to attract Vanguard to create a presence here, we saw a confirmation from a major company based outside the city of something that many people here already knew, that there are unique benefits to having an office in the city. One of the biggest advantages is having direct access to the talent pipeline being developed in the city by local universities. Opening a satellite office in the city will also provide an appealing option for employees who are already residing in Philadelphia and currently doing a reverse commute out to the suburbs. There are a number of unique cultural or collaborative and innovative advantages that can be found in Philadelphia, and local offices within the city will allow companies to easily tap into that environment. The requirements and the application process for Gateway Philadelphia are pretty simple. To qualify for the program, a company must currently be located outside the city and without a city-based office. The business must sign a one-year commitment with a co-working space or other office location willing to provide a short-term lease for a minimum of 20 employees. Businesses can also choose to host their employees at multiple locations, splitting the 20-seat requirement among 2 or 3 spaces in the city. Once a company has identified a location or locations and started lease proceedings, they can fill out a quick application online that can be found on phila.gov/business. A copy of the fully executed lease will be required to be submitted upon approval of the program. Commerce will reimburse participating companies $1,000 per seat for up to $30,000, and reimbursements will be issued after the first year lease term is complete. Our new Senior Director for Business Development, Dawn Somerville, seated up here with me, will be managing the program and has already had a number of productive conversations with spaces around the city who are willing to help Gateway Philadelphia succeed. Some of those groups are here today. The ultimate goal of this program is to use the experiences of these Gateway Philly satellite offices as a vehicle to encourage participating companies to make a more long-term commitment to the city of Philadelphia. The application, as I said, is available online now at phila.gov/business. And if interested companies have any questions, they can reach out to Commerce directly. We look forward to using Gateway Philadelphia as a new tool for business attraction in our city, leveraging this low-risk, short-term commitment as an opportunity to expose more companies to the benefits of locating in Philadelphia. Thanks all for being here today. If there are any additional questions, the Department of Commerce staff here are happy to sort of meet with you up at the front of the room now. Thank you.
Anybody have anything now?
Hi, it's a Senior Deputy Director of Commerce.
Have you guys had any businesses express interest in this already? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit later here, you mentioned this.
Have we had business? We've had sort of office locations sort of asking us to sort of identify incentives that could make their sort of offices more attractive to suburban businesses to try out Philadelphia locations. Vanguard was, of course, the example of a company that just a month ago announced a location in the city at 23rd and Chestnut Street where they were starting with 20 employees and growing that workspace up to 100 over the next couple of years. They're not, because they've already signed a lease. But in fact, because we've been working with them, we recognize that they're in fact the perfect sort of company with a huge presence in the suburbs. That presence isn't going to go away, but it's a company that was looking to access more talent in the region, and much of that talent actually resides in Philadelphia. As the mayor said, it's talent that generally doesn't even have a car. And so the fact that locations in the city where you can walk, bike, or take mass transit is the perfect location. Yes?
How much does number 25 as far as the
We knew that we wanted a number that was sort of achievable. It's a number that a little bit of talking to some businesses about sort of what a minimum sort of office configuration would need to look like. We knew we didn't want it to be one or two because, in fact, it is about large suburban companies checking out the city and not about startup or entrepreneur companies, which, in fact, we have other programs to assist.
Mayor, do you give this as sort of a sampling, the sample that the city has to offer?
Well, I think that is the case, but I also think that the people who live in the city and work in the suburbs don't need to sample. They just don't want to reverse commute anymore. I mean, I've talked to a lot of folks in Old City where I'm living, and a lot of them live in Old City and work in the suburbs, and they're like, we wish you could. I mean, I've heard this individually, anecdotally. Wish we had a location here in Philadelphia, and I'll get the company, I'll get their card, and we'll reach out to them because they would rather just walk to work or bike to work or take the sub.
Do you think once suburban companies sample the city, they'll want to stay? Is that
Well, I mean, hopefully they'll. I mean, with Vanguard, for example, they're probably not going to move their whole operation into the city. But I mean, if we went from 20 to to 50 to 100 to 200 to 250, and certainly we're making progress. I just think the city is an extremely hot place to be right now, and it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of vibe, and I think that people want to take advantage of it, especially if you're 25 years old and you're in an executive position where you're starting out in your career. You want to stay close to home.
And to follow up on your earlier statement, when you said no new taxes in the budget, is that business, personal, everything?
Yeah. I mean, and what other taxes are there?
Well, you were talking about a business story, and I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, we're not, we're going to continue to reduce the wage tax, continue to reduce the business taxes. We're not asking for an increase in UNO. We're hopefully holding the line as best we can in this budget and over the next 5 years. And, I mean, I'm not Washington, so I'm not going to say never, ever, ever, never. I mean, sometimes things cataclysmic happen and, you have to do something, but it's irresponsible to say never and, sign those. I'm not signing Grover Norquist pledges, but I think that right now we're being open and transparent with the public and the business community and saying that we're not looking for new taxes this year, and we appreciate the help we've gotten from many of our companies and from the chamber on the beverage tax. They didn't go to war on the beverage tax, so that's a big deal for us as far as our pre-K and community schools and rebuild programs. So, we want to be fair to the business community. I think that some of the static noise that you heard over the last few weeks relative to regulations, I think council has clearly heard that, and they're starting their process of reviewing, obsolete or burdensome regulations, and we're all for that, and we'll work with them to reduce and streamline doing business in the city. I think that departments like license and inspections have done a major turnaround, a major transformation, and we're working with the Commerce Department to identify other areas where we can be more streamlined and effective. Okay? Thank you.